3, 2, 1. Good morning, guys. Oh, yeah. Get that situated a little bit. All right. So, how is everyone doing today? You know, the first stream of the new year. So, Happy New Year's. Let me just get everything all set up here. I apologize for being a little tardy this morning. I was actually here early, but there are some camera problems and stuff, so yeah. Ended up I had to just restart the whole computer, and that took a few minutes. So very frustrating stuff, Okay, let's see. All right, chat is live, and let's get this shared around, shall we? Is my Twitter still active? Should be, but Google? I think is the... Yeah, never mind. I'm going to stay away from that for today. Alright, and go to Knightsmith. I really need to do some maintenance on this. Wow. Okay, and should I wait for the preview to generate, or should I just send it home? Send it! Good enough. Okay, so good morning and welcome back, guys. So I hope everyone's holidays were good, and I hope everyone's enjoying the new year. It's a whole day and a half, or just barely over 1 day into it, so not too much could have gone wrong. Unfortunately, Betty White passed away a few days ago, about 2 weeks ago, so that's pretty sad making, because I thought she would be here forever. But I guess no one really can be here forever. That is still trying to post. So let's see what's new in the news. Return of the urban firestorm. The genius trick area and stop cooking with coconut oil. My bill for homelessness was $54,000. It is surprising how expensive it is to be poor. And at a certain point, you don't have a choice. Octopus is rolling on octopi. I think it should be octopi. I think they made a spelling error at inverse.com. Octopi rolling on MDMA. Reveal unexpected link to humans. well, I mean, at a certain point, everything is related, so there's going to be links, or at least everything here on this planet is related. If you go back far enough, everything's related. Let's see. Is that still trying? It is still trying to post. Yeah. Yeah. Leave page. Let's try this again. Facebook. Please don't. There we go. Man, everything is taking so long on my computer today. I don't know why. But, 'tis the case, I guess. Let's see, changes to public groups. Nah. I'll worry about that some other time. Alright, back to my original incessant babbling. Sorrow and tragedy will happen to all of us. Here are 3 strategies to help you cope. The Future Encyclopedia of Ludism. Ludism? That's going to be interesting. Meet the woman behind the iconic Woman Stepping into the New Year artwork. That's going to be cool. Let's see, theatlantic.com. Our relationship with COVID vaccines is just getting started. Great. Alright, meet the one behind iconic. Alright, she's pretty. Let's see what her backstory is. With just a matter of days until the new year, if you exist in certain pockets of Twitter, you'd likely see an illustration of a black woman stepping from one year into the next wearing high heels with a big bag in hand. Or with a bag in hand. Why did I say big? There's no big here. I did that artwork in hours. It usually takes me a while to finish up an illustration. But I had what I like to call these days a download, where you literally see the picture in your mind and it's just a matter of transferring that image from your mind to paper. I really get that, but that was one of them. It's an interesting way of putting that you have a well-defined vision, or interesting. I love back into Instagram, made me feel no. So I have to go on Instagram to see the picture. All right, so the picture, 2014 and 20. How old is this story? All right, so it's a black woman, lace up, not lace up, but like thong high heels, where they have the straps going up the calves. Nice pencil dress, big gold necklace, some other gold jewelry on. Has a few boxes on the 2014 side: jealousy, temper, fake friends, hate, heartbreak, negativity. And in that bag, well, I guess it is a big bag. It says God, love, focus, peace, and something ace, race, fate. I don't know. She's stepping up onto a platform that says 2015, and it's a nice picture. Well drawn. It has nice details in it. But I mean, I don't see what the hullabaloo is, but it's a nice picture if you want to go check it out. What years is written? Posted on December 31st, 2021. For the picture says 2014 to 2015. All right, my brother's like, why are you upset? She received a lot of negativity about it. Are you upset? Have you seen how many followers you've got? Have you seen how many people? You know what? I can really relate to that sentiment. I think every maker and creator can, because when you see something like that, you automatically see the negatives. A lot of creative people have, I'm guilty of having this as well. It's like imposter syndrome. So one negative comment feels like it's 1,000. So when it's the internet, you can easily get 10,000 comments. 10,000 negative comments, and even if you get 100,000 positive comments, it still, that's right at the breakwater for what it feels like. So I totally get that. Reflecting our 2014 piece. All right, so this is a new article. It's just an old piece of art. She said she was looking for a way to communicate that she was going into the new year is like stepping into a better year. Oh God, I hope that's the case this year. To me it seems like 2019, 2020, or 2022. Like the last 2 years just didn't happen. I mean, clearly it happened. I'm in a new house. There's new furniture. I'm making new things. I have a new shop. My kid is growing fast. So there's a lot of new stuff, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like those 2 years were just completely lost. Ooh. Let's see. I think I'm still like that, she said. I still enter the year exactly like the girl I drew. Huh. Very interesting. That's a very good philosophy. And it is really hot in this room. I think I need to start leaving the door open at night. Black women are always central in Shell's art. Well, of course, she's black. Of course, that's where she's gonna focus on. It's art is usually a manifestation of your experiences. With extra focus on black women and uplifting, inspiring, creating art for all of us by us. That's a good sentiment. Huh. That was a really nice article. I hate that it's on BuzzFeed, but Oh, you got a comment at least on the what you call it, on the Facebook post. What a day! What a day! What a day! What a day! I don't know. I am very apprehensive about this year. I think there's some merit to that apprehension. Let's see. The Future Encyclopedia of Ludism, a glimpse of an alternative economic and industrial history and future in which the Luddites or Luddites, I think it's Lud, because Ludd, Luddites, were successful in their battle against alienating technology. In common parlance, the term Luddite means someone who is anti-technology or maybe just not adept at using tech. However, the Luddite movement was a reaction born of industrial accidents and dangerous machines, poor working conditions, and the fact that there were no unions to represent worker interests during England's initial period of industrialization. Luddites did not hate technology, they only channeled their anger towards machine breaking because it had nowhere else to go. Well, I mean, you can look at that and say, yeah, there are plenty of other things that you could have done, but you're also not there with them as they're going through it. You can only look back on it, and it's easy to look back on things with 20/20 vision. All right, yeah, not gonna worry about that. So we are a little while in, and okay, there we go. So I did this thing with my hands. This is why I'm playing with my skiving knife. I have smashed my fingertips so much that the very edges of all of my nails are super, super brittle. And they crack and shear off. No matter how far back I cut them, no matter what I do. The edges just, just as they're growing, just toenails do the same thing. Except the toes keep growing and eventually turn into ingrown toenails. These just turn into really nasty hangnails. But I found out if I take a knife or razor or a skiving knife in this instance, if I just nip it right behind where it's broken and maybe do a bit of a angle up, like facing towards the tip of the nail, so if my nail's like that, I would cut it like that. It has less of a chance of splitting like that. Just little things I've noticed over the years. Well, guys, it looks like my new shop hand is on the live stream. He just can't sign in. Interesting. So, Aaron, if you want to say something, just say here, and I will relay it to the rest and answer what you have to say. I still haven't done that 2021 wrap-up video for my patrons. I'm planning on doing that today, and it might just end up being a one-take wonder. I'm not sure. So we'll see. If anything to blow my nose in here, My nose is just, it's not runny enough to have to blow it, but it's runny enough that I'm not comfortable. Does that make sense? It's just this hot cold going back and forth. Not a fan. Anyways, from a client I went to see a few days ago, which I need to get my quote to them, but they actually gave me gifts. And I'm not sure what to do with them, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are. First one is this beautiful, beautiful piece of red leather. It's not super big, but be able to get a few cool projects out of it, you know? And it's maybe, see, this is about 5-6 ounces. Yeah, probably closer to 6 ounces thick. Doesn't have a hard temper to it, but it's medium temper. The die is not struck through, so let me see if I can show you what struck through means is, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but there's the thin white line that runs through the core. What that means is the die didn't penetrate both sides all the way through, which isn't really a bad thing. But if your edge work is really important, and you want a nice super high gloss edge, you need a die that's either struck through, or you need to dye the edge after you cut it. Which maybe I'll dye that. Yeah, I'll take a test piece. Here's what I'll do. Maybe I'll do a little video on that. I'll take a little test piece. I'll skive one side down to see, you know, how it looks that way. Fold it over and do a seam like that. And on the other side, I'll try and do a glass edge, a glass finish edge. And that way I can see the pros and cons of it, work the leather just a little bit. I'm not sure what to do with that piece, but these ladies gave me a ton of stuff. Now this stuff feels just so nice in the hands. I'm not sure what to do with it. It is red leather, very, very, very soft temper, very thin. Do I have a piece? Oh, I have the whole hide. So this is like a 2 to 3 ounce. So let's see how this compares up to the 2 to 3 ounce. So this is maybe 1.5 to 2 ounces. Now this leather here is one of the main leathers I work with. This is that cobra leather that I talk about, and I get it from Buckle Guy. It's K-O-B-R-A. I don't know why they called it cobra. It's buffalo calf, but that's what they called it. This is the other main leather I work with, and this is Sierra double tan, and I get this in the double shoulder size, because a lot of the projects I work on are, they're small, but there's many pieces to it. So I'd like to try and get as many pieces to the same project out of the same hide in the same area of the same hide as possible, so that everything within that project has the same characteristics, especially when you're doing multiples like coasters. I have 12 coasters here. That's 3 sets of coasters. So a set of coasters is 4. Now these ones, even though they're from the same hide, are super smooth. Now, these ones here have a little bit of grain and texture to them. So you want them all to be, so for something like this, visually, you want it all to kind of match. Anyways, so I think this is deer. Super velvety on the back. And very nicely, it has a little bit of stretch to it. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it has, you can see these two peaks here. So it has a decent amount of stretch to it, actually. Not sure what to do with it. This almost seems... If this is any thinner, it would have to be gloves. And maybe this will be gloves. Or at least maybe... maybe do... Ooh. Here's a thought. Do the back of the glove in the sticker stuff, a little bit more hand protection, a little thicker, a little bit more durable. The front of the glove would be this cobra leather, very nice stuff. Then the gussets, because nice gloves don't have one seam. The finger has three parts to it. You have the top, you have the bottom, and then you have a gusset that runs all the way up and around. That would look really nice as a gusset piece. Also, with the slight stretch it has, since the Cobra leather and the Sierra don't have really any stretch. I mean, they have stretchless leather, but not like this. This would be really good as like a gusset piece, and then it'd be like almost like an accent. You know? Definitely a possibility. And that would really take nicely, because then if you're just doing gussets with this, like gussets like that, you can really you can get a lot of mileage out of it. I kind of like that thought. I also just really like holding this leather. It's just very nice, very, very nice. And there's still more. Aaron say anything? Nope. No. I don't know what this is. I don't know what it was supposed to be. But they gave this to me. And it's a fur of some sort. A lot of pieces sewn together. You know, it almost looks... I don't know what they were doing. Because it's tubular, but then you have this big cut here, then you have a big hole here at top there. So, like, no way I turn this doesn't make sense as to what this was supposed to be. Seems like the person making it originally had a very good idea, because everything is cut very nice. It looks like this piece here, since raggedy edge is supposed to be probably sewn down like that. Maybe this was supposed to be a sleeve, and this was going to be the armhole, but then they have it sewn here. So is that supposed to be the armhole and this wrap around like that? I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. And this was supposed to, that's your sleeve, and that's supposed to wrap around to give you the top of an arm, maybe. I don't know. But thin strips, I'm going to end up cutting this apart as finely as I can. Interesting, they did this with a machine. Because you have the running machine stitch. But then at the same time, it looks like a whip stitch, which is weird to me. Very strange. Because normally a machine goes straight through, it doesn't loop around. But this loops around the material, and then you also have that the keeper stitch on the bottom, keeper thread on the bottom. Fascinating. Very soft fur. The leather itself has an okay feel to it. The flesh side has an okay feel. Not great. This would definitely, with the pieces of this would have to be cut apart and used as a liner. of some sort. The pieces are very narrow and long, and I would have to cut around all of these stitches. So no idea what to do with this. It's nice. It feels pretty soft. This would almost go nicely at like the top edge of a boot, like a knee-high boot or something, or yeah, like a knee-high boot, half-calf boot, and as your top ring. You know, fold this around the edge and sew it. That would look nice for this, but I don't know. And then there's two last pieces they gave me. I have some rabbit fur. The backside is very similar to the goat fur I have. Just a very basic thinly skived edge. The very edges of it some of them are very thin and almost brittle. Like you can see over here is very brittle. You can actually see through. It's so thin over here you can actually see through it. So a good portion of this over here, down here, up here is almost completely unusable except as a liner. But the fur, it's as soft as a rabbit. It's as soft as you would think it is. It's way softer than it looks. And I got this one. Now this one, on the other hand, is very close to the goat leather that I have. The outside most edges get a little thin, but not nearly like that thing does. And this is almost nice enough, and maybe I can just sand it really easily, and maybe, you know, do some Resolene and burnish the backside of this, and this would be really nice just by itself. Can you already feel my hand? This hand here is like twice as warm as my other hand, and this hand's getting really warm. So this would make a really nice set of gloves. Well, one really nice glove. It's just big enough. Just big enough for one glove, or two inside sets. Maybe. Maybe I'll use the brown one. And this is just me spitballing ideas, really. As the inside of my winter gloves, right? That would be the outside. So this would be a liner, essentially. And just for bulk sake, I would probably only line the palm side. So this side of the glove with that fur, I think. And then I think the tops of the fingers and maybe the sides, or no, the tops of the fingers would be this, with the Sierra glued onto it and stitched, kind of like finger plates. So you have like a double thickness there, but it also adds, you know, its own protection. You know, it's more leather, thicker, blah 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 blah. So you can have that there. And then I would use that red leather as the gussets. And maybe I'd make those gusset. All right, so the gussets really only apply from your thumb up and around, up and around, up and around, all the way up to the tip of your pinky. Because over here you can just take this and make this a little extra long and close it in and bring that seam down. Same thing with the thumb. The thumb you can make any size you want because you actually make it from a completely separate piece and then get that and attach it on. I think that's what I'm going to do. I think that's going to be my glamour project for this year. A really nice set of leather gloves. I've been meaning to make leather gloves for ever. And I've kind of been slightly hesitant. No, when I say forever, I mean since way before I was in high school. I'm hesitant because it's really detailed work. It's very fine work. And while I'm good at the scale that I work at currently, I'm very proficient. That would be a real challenge. But if I can get it to pay off, it would be really nice. My whole thing is I originally wanted to make gloves to make the armor to go into the gloves, and the best way to do all of that is to have custom gloves, because you need it to fit your hand and articulate as closely to your own anatomy as physically possible. And if you're good, you can make it actually articulate better than your anatomy. But I think I would like something that I can, far in the future, that actually would stop my joints from overextending. So you get the idea. I think that would be a very interesting thing. Oh, we got a message. No Google. Weird. Yeah, so I think that's gonna be my vanity project. It's been a long time since I've done a vanity project, just a project just for me. See, I also have to say, because well, actually, here's a glove tip. You can see what I'm talking about. So most gloves are made like this. This is for sewing, so I could take the thing and pop in and out, and I could actually push on the back of the needle. And I have a few times, but this is a standard way gloves are made. Now you can see there's only two pieces. So it has one seam running the entire thing. It's a completely valid way to make gloves, especially if you're mass producing them. One seam is a lot easier to sew than three. But let me flip this inside out if I can. And you'll see why it's a problem for high-end things or armoring. So this is what the inside of the glove looks like, and I think this is for a thumb. It's sized right for a thumb. You have this huge seam, and when you turn this the right way, because this is inside out right now, that whole seam adds bulk to the inside. So the wider the seam is, the less internal space you have. So a lot of gloves have those gussets, but they sew them from the outside. So the glove is manufactured right side out. And what this means for armor making is, if you have your finger shield, what you do is, instead of having everything articulated, you actually just sew those pieces to that already exposed seam. Very nice, very easy. It's very easy to take measurements of too, because it's basically, there's no complex curves from one piece of your finger to the next, except for your fingertips, right? So your thumb's a little complex, but it's not hard. So that really simplifies everything. But to do that, you need to still, and I go back to my original quandary of, you need to make nice gloves, or at least either buy or make gloves that work well. And I could never find the right glove that had the right mix between comfort and flexibility and durability and ease of attachment. So this is going to be just a for me project. I think, I mean, I'll document it one way or another, and I think what I'll do, just to make life a little bit more fun and interesting, is I'll actually just do it on the live streams. So that means I get 1 day a week where I work on this project, so it's not really overcrowding everything or, you know, taking away content or anything from anyone else. And it actually might add a little bit to this. Fingers are really hard to turn inside out. Very small little pieces. Let's get you most of the way there. And then pop you the rest of the way. There we go. And you can see now, I have it the right way. You can see how those seams take up so much extra space inside the glove itself. And this is something I can almost guarantee you've never thought of before. But it's just one of those things that, you know, now I have a project to go along, and you're gonna come along for the ride. The thicker red leather, though, still not sure what to do. That might, ooh, you know what? Slippers. If I can get some cheap leather from, like, you know, Michaels or AC Moore or something, get a couple scraps, glue those together, put a piece of foam underneath, and then glue a sole onto it. Have that as the upper, nice red upper. Ooh, that would look nice. Maybe do a nice red upper. Have a little gusset in the back just to catch the heel just a little bit, and maybe line it with that black fur. Ooh, that would be sexy. Then have that black fur come up and wrap around the whole thing. So it'd be just leather on the bottom, on the insole, but then that black fur, you know, encasing the rest of the slipper on the inside, and then kind of spilling out the tops. That would be really nice for winter too. Have a nice level of grip. And I've already done 2 sets of flip-flops, so, which are way more complex than you think they are. Making flip-flops is it's a lot harder than you think. But I think doing the slippers that way, well, adding more complexity by lining them with fur, I think will actually be easier in the long run than doing the flip-flops. Maybe, possibly, most likely wrong. But, you know, it's kind of where I'm at. I'm sure these ideas will change 15,000 times before they come to fruition. But maybe not. Who knows? Let's see. And he is locked out of Google. Interesting. Well, that kind of stinks for you. And means you can't really... Ooh! Out for delivery! Alright, so I ordered a few things off Amazon. And, so cool. They're going to be here today. The one is a digital bevel gauge for my table saw. You go into any YouTubers, woodworking YouTubers thing, and when they're setting their angles, they almost exclusively use some sort of digital bevel gauge, which is stupid useful, especially if you're going to be doing really precise joinery or whatever. And Aaron and I are going to start making segmented bowls and vases. I just really want to kind of up the quality from one craft fair to the next. I want it to be a little bit nicer each time, have nicer products, because if you have too many cheap products that kind of just fill out a table, then your expensive products look cheap. And the converse is true. If you have a bunch of expensive items and you have a cheap item looks a little bit more expensive. So each craft fair, I want to start getting something, at least one more new nice product that's real expensive. I'd rather have less on my table and have to sell it for a lot more than have just a ton of stuff on the table and have to sell it for cheap. I think that's the way to go. Not entirely sure, but I think so. So in order to facilitate that, I got the bevel gauge. Because I have a really, really nice blade for my table saw that it leaves almost no sanding. Very little, if any, sanding between from the cut. It is just really nice. It's a really nice blade. So I need to make a custom sled when I get to the shop, and maybe I'll do a couple stave bowls too, because those are easy. You do a pattern on a plank. You cut them at you have to do them at 2 angles. So you have to cut a bevel this way, but then you also have to cut it in a wedge shape, and then glue that whole thing together. Then glue a bottom onto it, then turn it. And the angles, both angles. So it's a complex bevel. Determine how tall or wide the bowl is, and you could probably do you might be able to combine the two. So let's say the top of my microphone is the bottom of the vase or whatever, so circle. You have it come out like this, then you have a little section here which is all segmented turning, and then you could reverse that and go in, and then maybe have a segmented ring at the top where you have your mouth open up. Just a thought. It'd look kind of like a wooden amphora bowl or vase, whatever. And then you have multiple different turning techniques and blah blah blah. Of course, you can do the whole thing with segmented turning, and just vary the size of your rings. That's the most common way, and you get really pretty results with that. But time, material being what it is, and really, you might come out with a really cool amalgamation. Then again, it also might suck. You never know. But either way, I need that bevel gauge, and I need to get a tapering jig made for my table saw. Maybe I'll do the taper jig today. I have a few things I need to get done. Kind of try and finish off a really nice step stool at some point. Ooh, I also cracked open the Oh, so the other things that are coming, just in case you're wondering, I have a bunch of really big 4-inch hose clamps to grab the sections and tighten them down. And I have a new key for my grinders. See updates. Packaged out for delivery from Hazleton. Oh. Guess that's not so bad. But that makes me happy because I cracked open the forge the other day. Oh, this is why well, not the forge. The forge isn't running yet. But I opened, I did a little blacksmithing work. And this is what I came up with. So just a mild, I got a grill for Christmas and I didn't have any utensils and I couldn't find any anywhere. So I just made one. So that's a 16 gauge mild steel spatula handle. It's maybe 4 1/4 inches wide, 5 1/2 inches long, and I just took my Whitney punch and punched a bunch of holes in it. I was gonna do slots, but then I couldn't find the cutoff wheels, and I don't have the key to change the cutoff wheels on my grinder anyways, and it would really look kind of crappy if I had 2 slots cut and 3 more slots marked out and then nothing there. Most of the time was actually spent cutting the profile because again I don't have a grinder, and well, I have a grinder, I just can't put a new cutting wheel on it. And I have so I cut the whole thing out with a chisel, which leaves a kind of sharp, ragged edge. And I have a 2-year-old, so most of the time was spent cutting it out and then cleaning up those super sharp edges. And I did that is, I think it's 14 inches ash for the handle, and I think it's 3/4 inches thick. And the stock piece was, I think, 2 1/2, 3 inches wide. I can't remember. I just chucked that on the lathe and turned it down, and then I did a shogi finish on it. So I once I had everything assembled, I just took out my blowtorch and just burned it real quick, maybe 2.5, 3 minutes to burn the whole thing. I sanded it back down, so only the low spots that were burnt remained, except for the insides of those cuts where the flame didn't. Do I have a picture of it? No, you can't really see it. But the inside of these cuts, there were really kind of sharp angles, and so that didn't really, the flame didn't get into those angles, is what I'm saying, I guess. But anyways, sanded it down, and I took butcher block finish, and just did 1 coat, and then I heated up the spatula blade and did the same thing. I think I got the blade up to about 160, 170 degrees roughly. And then I just took a bunch of the butcher block oil or conditioner, which is just mineral spirits or mineral oil and beeswax mixed. Put it on there and just kept buffing it and adding more as it would absorb and also smoke off. And the reason you do that is you want a food safe finish, obviously. So I couldn't use something like boiled linseed oil or Danish oil. And you open up the pores of the steel by heating it. open up the pores is kind of a misnomer, but it's the right idea if you're equating it to skincare, I guess. So you heat it up and you put on this mixture and you just keep buffing it until it soaks it all in. And that protects the steel and gives it a food safe finish. So that's really how you make utensils out of mild steel or carbon steel. Now if you're using something like stainless, you don't have to go through that treatment. Just as a complete side note, and I started 20 minutes late, I'm ending 20 minutes late, I have 5 minutes left, so one last thing on steel finish. I did an art piece 10 years ago, 12 years ago, and the only finish I applied to it is I torched it, and then I did that same finish that that same process, but instead of using butcher block conditioner, I used WD-40, and I just sprayed the hell out of it and buffed it in, and then heated it back up inside and out. And that piece has been standing or hanging at my parents' house. It kicked around my stuff for maybe 2 years, 3 years, and I never did anything to it. It was supposed to be a chest piece, so it was a big raised face that I did, and then I had a flange on the outside that had a bunch of punctures, a bunch of holes in it, that I was going to rivet it or sew it to something, and I just never did. So it has a nice little in cut where if it was a chest piece where the neck would go, it wouldn't. The head kind of tapers down like a traditional English shield, kite shield they're called. So it doesn't hamper you moving side to side. But it was an art piece. And I didn't touch that finish once. So it was kicking around. It moved from one place to another with me. 2 moves. Gave it to them for Christmas one year, and it's been hanging on their wall, unfinished, or not. They didn't touch the finish. Didn't do anything to it. Just slapped a nail on the wall, hung it on the wall, done. And wow. Still to this day, 10 years later, not a speck of rust on it. And it turned out it almost had a bluing effect to it too. Really cool stuff. But the forge is half completed. There's just a ton of things to do that need to get done rather soon, because we've been blessed so far here in northeast Pennsylvania with very, very mild winter so far. That will not last forever. Unfortunately. So while I have a small kerosene heater, and I do have a place, like a little coffee pot where I make, I set a fire in when it's really cold out. So I have 2 fires going in the shop. There is no chimney or collection for that. So it just doesn't work. And well, yeah. So I need that to change. I need to finish the forge, so I can get so I can have a fire in there that actually vents out through the chimney. I do have an air scrubber in the shop now. My wife bought me one for Christmas, and half a gift for me and half a gift for my son, because little lungs. But I would much rather have the fire with a chimney and only have the air scrubber only deal with maybe a little smoke, but mostly just wood dust. Very, very fine dust. That's the dust that is in the California warnings on everything that's woodworking. The super, super, super fine dust is what clogs your lungs, clogs your lymph nodes, and can give you cancer. But that's where that warning comes from. Anyways, to help my lungs out, to help the kids' lungs out, to help Erin's lungs out, she bought me this thing, and really nice. It clears the air within maybe 1 hour. If the whole place is so smoked out you have to leave, it'll be fresh air within 1 hour. Awesome. But that would be much better if I have the smoke venting out and then it's just dealing with sawdust. So that's where I'm at. So in short, I need to finish the forge. I'm planning on doing that this week. And that also brings me back to the other thing about the grinder key. It'll allow me to start cutting stock and loading up the center of my my assembly bench, which I will do a quick tour of that once it's all finished. We're about 70% finished with it. Still need to put doors on the cabinets. Still need to put a little steel thing on the back. Still need to put T-track in, put a router lift in there, finish all the drawers, and then put the facing on the drawers. Still work to do, but we're getting there. So guys, I started at 9:20. It's now 10:21. Unfortunately, I do have to get going. But if you like this content, if you want to see more, help me hire an editor by going over to patreon.com/Knightsmith. And that money that's in the Patreon, it goes towards, helping me pay bills. It goes towards buying new materials, trying out things, doing experimental things, basically. And hopefully hiring an editor, someone who is, willing to work, just mostly side stuff. Because if you take all of the, videos, like the Manliest Mondays or whatever, I bulk shoot them, bulk edit them, you can get all that done within a day, 1 or 2 days. If you just sit down, have no distractions, just boom, and then you have months of content. Project videos are more hard, significantly more hard. But that takes money, and it either takes time or money. And I have some money, not a lot, but I have no time. Between being a husband, father, doing the stuff at the business to make the money, and still having an office job, I'm spent on time. I have none left. So I need your help to help me get an editor. And once I have that, sky's the limit. So if you like this, if you want to see more, go to patreon.com/Knightsmith to support the channel. I'm also going to be doing a year wrap-up, kind of like a board of directors meeting or something, for my Patreon, for my patrons. So go over there. I know that's kind of a long cut, a long slight commercial or whatever, but it is what it is. Thanks for watching, guys. And even if you don't go over, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys watching, tuning in, comments, everything. Go over to the Facebook group, post pictures of stuff you guys do. And since it's the January 2nd, tell me down in the comment section what's your resolutions for this year. I think I'm going to do a one-off Manliness Monday video for next week about resolutions and how I go about thinking about that. So, thanks for watching. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thank you for helping make this world better, one kerf at a time. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.